And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson.
100% agree.
And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
From the deserts to the sea to every country around the world, it is the Weighing In podcast. Once again, weighing in number 71. Joshua, we have done 71 of these shows. It's amazing. You can catch us on YouTube, Google's podcast, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and a plethora of other podcasting platforms. And you can also, if you would like, take a look at that cool t-shirt. You can pick up one of these very cool t-shirts from ProWrestlingTees.com. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com, punch in Weighing In. You'll see a beautiful picture of both Josh and I. You can figure out which one's the better picture. Hit that picture in any fashion you want, and it will pop up 4 different shirts that we have. This is the newest logo that we're wearing, and you can pick one of these up. We have our 1-year anniversary. Put birthday in for a 20% discount with ProWrestlingTees.com. Joshua, how you doing, brother?
I'm hitting a wall because we got to tell everyone the story. I'm hitting a wall.
You have that right. I have that right.
Oh man. Yeah, I had to leave the airport. I left to Connecticut, left to go to the airport at like 4:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Got to the airport, flight was at 6, jumped on the plane, flew into Atlanta, quick switch, like a 30-minute switch over, which was nice. And then a straight flight all the way back down to San Jose, which is pretty impressive. So I enjoyed that. That was very nice. Got home, felt good, played with my dog a little bit, and then I realized fight started early. I was like, oh, crap, man, I got to go. So I came down to my gym, and I had a couple people over here just watching the fights. And I started falling asleep like around the third round of the Till fight.
So you have no idea who won?
No, I do. No, I actually, I woke up for the 5th, but like the 3rd and the 4th, I kind of was in and out a little bit. I was trying to watch it. God, what a week. I love the shirt. By the way.
Thank you very much, huh?
I don't have one yet. You beat me to it. You beat me to it. I
actually bought it. I'm not kidding either.
Yeah. We offer one in red and we offer one in blue because we had a bunch of requests for someone to say like, hey, because our intro, like you guys have just heard, is Josh is in this corner and John's in this corner. So we did the color scheme also. So
hence the blue corner, red corner.
Yes, and if you guys like John more, you guys can buy the red shirt. Obviously,
of course you go with the red corner. That's the A side. Come on, you know
that. No. I want you guys to understand something, okay? John's hung out with me now for about 4 days, and look at this. The confidence has just grown so much. Shit, 4 days around me, and look at him, he's an egomaniac.
Lack of sleep is doing it for me, man.
Yeah,
you had your nice little thing with the plane ride. You actually slept on that plane.
Yeah,
I know you did.
You, on the other hand,
I did not.
No,
I was stupid.
You're crazy.
I drove up there, and then last night after the show, I just packed my stuff up. Jumped in the car at about 1 o'clock, 1:30, and just started driving, man. And finally I got here about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I stopped one time to try to sleep. That's when I realized a very important thing when you rent a car. Make sure that seat will lean all the way back, because mine did not. That's
the worst.
I'm trying to put it back. Oh, son of a bitch, this thing doesn't even go back.
That sucks.
So I've had a good maybe 3 hours total sleep, but I'm good, baby. I watched all the fights and I did not fall asleep, and I am ready to go. And someone out there will go and say, John and Josh, man, they're drunk, or they're smoking something or something. Whatever.
Yeah. We're either high or we're drunk, because
that's it.
No, we're just exhausted. That's
hello.
That's why we look like this.
But there's been a lot of fights and it's been good.
Oh man, we were extremely busy all week with all the testing, all the guidelines we had to follow, and it was crazy. I mean, we weren't allowed to go to any of the restaurants. If we did go, we could only get food to go. We had to eat in our rooms. We couldn't go anywhere. There was nothing we could do inside the casino. We couldn't gamble. We could barely walk around. We had to wear a mask everywhere. We actually had COVID compliance officers walking around, making sure that we were wearing.
Dude, they were a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but
they were sneaking up behind. No, they were a pain in the ass. It's like all of a sudden I started actually when I was driving back, my thing is my radar is out there. I'm looking for cops everywhere because I speed. Dude, I got to start putting the radar out for these COVID comply officers that are there. Man. They're sneaking up on you, man. It's like, hey, get away. You're bothering me.
Yeah, they caught us. We were eating, and we stayed in this we were in the employee cafe, but they had an area where just Bellator employees and personnel could eat. And so we would sit in this area because it was the only place we could take our fucking mask off. So we would just stay there and sit there and talk. Well, one of the officers was in there eating at the same time, and he snuck up behind us and he's like, hey, when you guys are not eating, you got to wear your mask. And we're like, you got to be kidding me. I thought he was joking at first.
Oh, so did I at first.
I thought it was
then
a
I realized
joke.
he's not, and I go, I'm done. We're out.
Oh man, this is horrible. But you know what though? I had a good time. I got to tell you, it was great to see everybody. I like the fact. I know we're just bitching and moaning about the whole mask thing, but I actually like the fact that we are taking it serious as far as in terms of how we did our testing. The 24-hour, it wasn't a full 24-hour quarantine only because our test results came back sooner.
Ooh, yeah, thank God.
Thank goodness, yeah. So
I was going nuts. Man, have you ever watched the Alone show?
No, well, you were telling me about it the other day.
Dude, the Alone show they take these survivalists and they put them out in Vancouver Island or Patagonia. They did one up in the Arctic Circle up in the Yukon, and they put these people out there. They can have like 10 supplies. And they all get like a tarp to start their shelter, and they'll get like a fire starter if they're smart, axe, something like that. But once you're out there, they give you a radio, and if you want to, as they say, tap out, you can hit the button and they'll come pick you up. And you're out.
Is this like Naked and Afraid?
No naked stuff. Yeah. But $500,000 to the winner. And I've always looked at it and said, yeah, I'd do all right with that, with some of the stuff. And I realized just in quarantine stuff, I couldn't be there by myself for very long. I'd go nuts, man. I got to talk to people. I got to sit there and converse and do stuff, because when you're watching the show, the one thing that you'll get these people, man, they've got food supplies stocked up. They've, hunted moose or whatever, and they've done all this stuff, and they've got a great, shelter, and they're hitting the button saying, I got to see my wife and kids, and I'm thinking, oh man, that's weak. And now I don't feel like it's weak. They're right. I'll go nuts without at least talking to someone.
Yeah, it's funny you're saying that. The first month and a week, 4 or 5 weeks, I was okay with the quarantine. After we hit that period though, I was like, okay, I got to get around people. And I never thought in a million years, because one thing about fighting, you see guys with a huge entourage, and like I love DC or, and Floyd Mayweather, but they always have like a huge crew of people.
Oh.
I was never that guy. I had, my close friends, my managers. That was it. I had maybe like 3 or 4 people that were always with me, and that was it. But I never thought I would ever hear these words come out of my mouth that I miss being around people. It just was one of those. I hit the 5-week mark, and I started kind of breaking a little bit. Like if I don't work out at my gym, if I don't go for runs, if I don't go mountain biking and stuff, if I don't go mountain biking and stuff or do things to get me outside, and I live in the Bay Area, so everyone's they're very extreme and over the top. If they see you walking around without a mask, they're like, where's your mask? What are you doing? You could be killing my grandmother. And so I'm not kidding you. You get, I kid you not, you get these comments walking through like Home Depot and other things. I'll be doing home projects, and they're like, where's your mask? This is, you could be hurting someone. You're the safety of other people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, out of control. I'm like, by the way, you're not wearing it right. It's supposed to be above your nose, dumbass. But anyways, it was kind of that breaking point. I think that 4 to 5 week period was kind of the breaking point for me.
Yeah.
But
it was very good. It was really good to be back. And I want to say, man, they did a great job of setting up that fight area that we had. It was beautiful.
It was awesome.
What an awesome looking place. And then, even all the fighters said it was so cool fighting in there, because they made it really cool with the lighting and the way they did it. So it was really a fun atmosphere.
The big screens really made it made it feel like a bigger venue. I don't know what it was. We had the drop down with the gray curtains. Then we had the lights that went up on it. We had a bunch of huge big screens that were there. And so it seemed like more of a confined area that they were fighting in. So it seemed more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Intimate.
There you go. It's like more of like an intimate kind of situation. I don't know. I like the way it was all set up. Now, look, there's a lot of people. I was actually reading some of the Twitter comments today. I want to say it was Luke Thomas came out. Somebody came out anyways and said like, hey, well, if you were going to grade them, what would you give them? There was a lot of B's in there. It was like B-, B+. But a lot of the knock was the fight, like the fights. It was, hey, I thought the card would be more stacked. I mean, honestly, that what came down is we had a pretty stacked card, and there was like there was another 3 fights on there that all got dropped. One was one from injury, and then I think one was from COVID, and the other one I think was like something else that came up. Yeah, so there was just like we're dealing with this right now, and not just us. The UFC's dealing with it as well. Other shows are not even started yet. It's just a situation we're gonna have to go through. I do know that after talking with the matchmakers and Bellator officials and all that, like, and what we're going to probably start doing is probably start booking 12 to 14 fights and have the expectation that some of them may fall off, and so you always have that full, 10 fight card or, 9 or 10 to 12, 11 fight card available to you. So everyone's like, oh man, I thought for sure you'd have a title fight of this. It was planned. There was a Juan Archuleta and Patchy Mix, excuse me. We're supposed to be the main event, and Juan had tested positive for COVID, so he's healthy. Everything's good. I know we're rescheduling that fight. That's gonna be a fucking great fight, man. That fight is gonna be amazing, and to see the winner of that fight go on and to fight Sergio Pettis should be a good fight, man. I guess let's get into the fights. Let's talk about Bellator real quick, and we've talked about Bellator all week, so we'll talk about them one more time. And what do you think of the results of the fights? I mean, we'll start with what do you want to start with?
Aaron Pico. Let's just go with the main card. You got to look at what Aaron Pico did with Solo Hatley.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I look at with that is God bless Greg Jackson sometimes, because he was able to get into that kid's head and make him realize you don't have to be a highlight reel fighter every time. Yeah. You just got to go out and fight smart, get wins, and as you say, winning solves all the problems.
Yeah,
just keep winning, and things will fall into place. And Aaron was in that position where he really was. He was in over his head. I'm just going to say it. He was matched up over with people when he was not prepared for those people based upon his knowledge of the sport, and that's his fault. You got to put the blame where it truly belongs, because he wanted to be that guy that was stepping up, fighting those guys, and he was being pushed by certain people. You know that, I know that, but he's got to have enough in him to say no. And we talked to him about that, and he said, man, if I could do it again, I would do things different. But now here's where I'm at, and from this point forward, I'm going to be a smart fighter. And then he went out there, and he was a smart fighter. He took 0 damage, had a very nice performance against a guy who is a good athlete, a good wrestler, a strong and fast individual, and he just showed that his wrestling was just above the level of Solo Hatley's right now. Took him down, got the back, gets the choke. A beautiful performance by Aaron Pico, puts him at 5-3. And this is, people talk all the time, and I just want to put into perspective what you have here. Because he's 5-3, people are counting him out, saying, oh, he sucks. Oh, he'll never be good. He'll be great if he continues on this path. There have been people in the past, there's people right now in the present that have been champions with a record that is, kind of similar. Rose Namajunas, look at her record. I think she's 9-4 now off of her win against Andrade.
I think so.
All right, 9-4. That's not much different than what we have with her. She's been a champion, and she is a champion challenger right now. She's the one, if you're looking at, that's going to fight Weili Zhang. There's people out there that have losses. I go back to Carlos Newton, was a guy that, he was welterweight champion in the UFC. He started his career 4-3, 5-3, just like Aaron Pico, so yeah. Aaron can do it. He just needs to continue on the path that he's on right now.
So there's a couple of things that that I'll start from the very beginning. Let's start from the beginning of when he first signed. Let's start from the very beginning. For those of you guys that haven't, I interviewed him a long time ago when he first had signed with Bellator and he was about to have his first fight, and I had interviewed him. I'd also had him on again, talking with him as well. He probably took some of what I had said after some of his losses, to heart. I feel like maybe there'd be a little bit of some connections that him and I have had that are not there anymore. But he is all the things that I've always thought he would be. But the thing is that he had to get out of his own way. And what people need to understand is when you first negotiate your contract at a young age of, he wasn't even 18 yet, basically when he had signed the contract. Yeah, he's first signed. Yeah. So, and then they waited for him to get done with his Olympic trials and all the things and those type of things for his Olympic run. When that happened, when they signed him, they wanted a certain amount of money. They gave him a certain amount of money. And when that money came, like you're obligated to fight the level of guys that came with that money. And that was talked about. And so look, if you're saying he's ready for this, okay, and he thinks he's ready for that, and your coaches think he's ready for that, and your managers
think you that.
And and it goes with this amount of money, we'll give that to you. Now, I think he got screwed on his first fight because no one wanted to fight him. Like, he couldn't get a fight from anyone. Nobody, except for like a Patricky or, because remember, he fought at 55.
Yeah.
So Patricky didn't want to, these guys were like, nah, I'm not interested. I'm looking for title shots. I'm not looking to fight a new guy. And so those guys were like, nobody else that was below them wanted to fight him. They would have fought him. Chandler would have fought him. Patrick would have fought him. They would have fought him. They're like, it's not really on my way to the goal. And the goal is to get to the title. That's a setback if I was to lose,
And beating him doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do a damn thing.
Doesn't get
beating an 0-0 guy. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, he got paid a certain amount of money to fight. So that contract was coming to a close, and he had ended up being, I want to say he was 3-2 or something like that, I think at the time. When they renegotiated his new contract, I said, look, let's take some time. Let's get you sorted out. What do you want to do? You need to find a camp. You had switch managers. This is another thing that I think was a very positive thing, is that when he had left Bob Cook and the guys and Zink and management, he was looking around for a manager. And when he was looking around for a manager, Ali had hit me up and asked me, what do you think about this kid? I said, you don't need to listen to me, but I'm like, he's everything that we think he can be. There's no doubt. You need to get him to be him. You need to get him to be, an adult. At that time, his family was kind of helping him, guiding him and all these things. And so once I had told Ali that not just
help.
Me.
That wasn't help. You know that.
What's that?
His family was helping guide him. It wasn't help.
No, it wasn't.
They were guiding him in the wrong direction.
In the wrong direction. Yeah. And look, and he basically said, like, look, all the responsibility goes on me. He knows that. There's no doubt about it. And that's right. He is right. And I can tell how much he's matured from the first time. At the first time, 19, 20 years old, his dad, it's hard to have your parents, and he's going to say it wasn't his family. And I get it. His family's not making the decisions for him, but they're guiding him in the direction that the decisions they want to be made. Those things being done, they don't help you. They put more pressure on you. And so when he went with Ali, I know that the conversation that was said with Ali was like, hey, I don't do family, man. I do you. You and I, if it's a business deal, it's like I come to you and you give me an answer like a man. And that's it. This is the deal. Like, I don't go and talk to dad and see what's going on. I don't go talk to brother. I don't go talk to girlfriend. I don't go talk to mom or uncles and aunts and grandpas. I don't do that. Okay. That doesn't mean I can't be friends with dad, brother, and everybody else.
I'll be friendly to them.
Exactly. But
I just don't do business with them.
I don't do business with them. I do business with you. I manage you. You're my athlete, and I take care of you. So that happened. And then he went to Greg Jackson's, and Greg Jackson's is a fabulous place for him because he loves horseback riding, and it's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He bought a place there. He's now fully committed. All of these things now, when he renegotiated his contract, is not a setback, but it's a step back to, hey, now we're paying you these figures, which means your opponents will be here versus what we were paying you here. Now your opponents needed to be here. There's a big difference on when you get paid more, you're expected to fight to that level of pay. That means that, hey, if I'm paying you this, you need to be fighting the Peter Queelys and the Patrickis and the Chandlers and Bensons and those guys. You need to be fighting those guys. If you're not, then we need to knock that pay down a little bit. And so those adjustments were made. He's now in Albuquerque, and you saw right off the bat that he's utilizing his wrestling. I would have liked to have seen him set it up a little bit better, but I got to tell you, all he's got to do is get in, and his wrestling's next level.
He transitions from one element to the next so well. As soon as he's into you, he's going to take you down because you're trying to stop one thing and he's already switched it up to another. And even if you can get yourself back on that, he's already gone to the next. You just can't stop. He's
going to have a hard time, I think, a little bit. I won't say he'll have a hard time with Juan Archuleta, but he'll have a hard time catching Juan. Like if he ever has to fight Juan, he'll have to like cut him off and find him, if he ever gets to fight Juan. Juan's fighting at 35, I know, for the title, but Juan does that 135, 145, 155. Around. He jumps around. I'm just thinking in terms of guys that would give him a hard time. Darren Caldwell is right on the top. It would give him a hard time just because of the athleticism. And, and obviously Patricio, because Patricio's short and stocky, got dogs in his hands. I mean, just hits like a truck and super fast. And since working with Henry Cejudo for so long, his takedown defense is fucking phenomenal now. And we saw that against Juan Archuleta. Juan was in deep on a bunch of takedowns and couldn't take him down. Pico has all those things. But when he gets to that next level of where he is, and I'm obviously talking to you about future. I'm not talking about right now.
Next term contract.
Next term contract will be okay. I want to see you punching to your takedown. I want to see you getting them to retaliate, then you dropping your hips and your level and then shooting. Those are things that I want to see. Right now, it was like, it wasn't even a punch. It was waited for him to kind of feint the jab, and then, okay, I got in deep because he's so good at he's basically so good at that first initial step. He snatched a single, drove him to the fence, switched went to the dump, then lifted, and it was a nice, easy takedown. But the one thing, all those things said, I just said a whole mouthful. Of those things said, though, John, the one thing that impressed me the most, his ground and pound. He got on top, and when he was able to hip in on Solo Hatley and he had no answer, when you make someone go turtle, he turned over and just gave him his back, and that was the end of it. I mean, like, that was just the end. The ground and pound was so hard and so vicious, and he hipped in to make sure he couldn't get up kicked. I was like, this kid's going to be dangerous. Anytime he gets you down and he starts putting hands on you like that, he's going to be dangerous. And I'm excited to see what his next step will be and how much better he gets between here and his next fight with Greg Jackson.
Well, everyone thinks that ground and pound is just, there's nothing to it. No, there is a ton of technique in how you position your body, when you posture, how you throw. All of that is, it's a skill set unto itself. And when it comes to the fight game, we have saying you don't know what you don't know until you finally know. And now Aaron's in that position. He finally knows, and so it's all starting over for him. I'm telling you, he continues to fight in the fashion that we saw last night. He's a future world champion. He's got all the intangibles. Doesn't mean that, it's going to happen, but if he keeps on that path that he's on, and he works hard, he's got every opportunity to get to that point. Yeah,
what is he, 22, 23?
23 now, I think.
Yeah, I think he's 23 years old. Yeah, he's a little bit older than Gallagher by like a couple months. I think Gallagher's 22.
He's 23. It would be 24 in September.
Okay, so it'd be 24 in September. I mean, yeah, he's got plenty of time. That's what I never understood in the beginning. I was like, why are we rushing this? What? And there was this like, okay, let's fight this guy. Let's fight. And no, let's take let's take all the easiest fights we can get. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's pull the Mexican boxing card. Let's get like 15, 16 fights of a padded record. Get a lot of experience.
Tomato Can Alley.
Yeah. Let's just do it, man. We got no reason to rush this. And so I think, I think there was a lot of things that he did very well, and I was excited for him. I was glad that he got the win. I loved seeing the submission finish, and not just looking for the ground and pound knockout. He did exactly what he needed to do. Got to remember, we don't get paid by the minute we're in there.
He never put himself in a position where gave the opportunity for someone to hurt him. Yeah. You can say when he got in, but when he crushes the space, when someone crushes that space, it's hard to hurt them. Normally damaging blows come with a space.
Yeah.
You've got to create that space so you can generate the energy to make that blow that hard. So even when he's coming in, it could be that, he gets hit with a knee. That happened to him against Adam Borch and stuff. But everything I saw last night, perfect.
Yeah.
Walked out of there, not a mark on him, didn't get touched once. That's the way that you want your early fights in your career to go.
Yeah.
It's good.
Good stuff. Who is next?
Next on the card, J.J. Wilson against Taiwan Claxton. You did not like that fight.
I did not like. No, I'd like the fight.
Yeah,
I didn't like the decision.
Okay, tell me why.
I thought Claxton won. I thought you thought JJ won the first round.
That's because he did.
I mean, apparently on the judge's card, that's really all that matters. I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think. I thought Claxton did enough to win the round. I thought for sure Claxton won.
No doubt he won the second round.
Yeah, and I thought for sure he won the second, and I thought the third he was doing enough as in terms of he was getting JJ to throw, and then he would back out. He would back out, throw, and then he'd wait for JJ to throw, and he'd drop back down on the legs. So in those exchanges, he was the one landing though.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is what people need to look at when they're looking at scoring MMA. Mm-hmm. If you look at that fight, Taiwan is controlling. He is pushing JJ against the cage. He's utilizing a superior wrestling game, and he's controlling the position of the fight. But controlling the position is only going to get you that win if there's no significant striking or submission attempts or anything like that. Excuse me. But in the third, there was. He ends up getting in a bad position. JJ jumps guard, brings it up, goes for the triangle, and then gets it tight, starts landing elbows to the top of Taiwan's head. And all of that work right there, even though Taiwan, this is why people don't understand. It doesn't matter that you won, we'll say, 4 minutes of the round, barely, because of control. Once someone opens up and gets you in a possible submission or starts lighting you up with those elbows to the top of your head, all that 4 minutes doesn't mean anything. That 1 minute at a time is going to win the round. And that's why he won that third round.
We can
it's
agree.
tough.
I get it. We can agree to disagree. I get it. No, I understand what you're saying. I actually do understand. I get what you're saying, and I can see why it goes that way.
Well, the whole purpose and the reason it goes that way, fighters need to understand. Fans need to understand. We had a time in MMA where wrestlers were coming in and kind of taking over by control.
Yeah.
And we took and made it to say, hey, controlling is not part of fighting. We want you to fight. We want you to be going for finishes.
Yeah.
We want the person who tries to actually win the fight by landing strikes or going for submissions is the person that's winning the fight. And when you look at what occurred, especially in that third round, that's what you had. You had JJ going for a finish where you never had Taiwan going for that. He was controlling, winning more time, but it's not about the amount of time. It's the quality of time.
Yeah, I'd have been pissed if that was me and I walked out of the cage like that, having a loss like that. I was like, man. I just felt like he landed the cleaner, harder shots every time he broke and then went back to the clinch. I understand
Throughout a lot of the fight, I think you're right.
Yeah, like he was pressing him against the fence. He'd break and then he'd land an elbow or a punch and then he'd go back into the double. That to me is landing clean, hard shots. I mean, realistically, I think he should have been trying to like either take him down, let him back up, or it's something to control more of that positioning versus just holding him there. But it's also up to JJ to get his ass off the fence, so I look at it that way as well. No different than someone who's down on the bottom. But I mean,
JJ did get himself off the fence
a couple times, but he
created that. Well, in the third round,
he threw himself up into that triangle.
That situation. Correct? Well, he's the one that created the situation. Yeah. That's what you're looking for. He's trying to create something to work towards a finish in the fight. Maybe it wouldn't have worked for him. And maybe if he didn't get that triangle and he didn't land those blows, then Taiwan would have won that round. So it's a tough one, but
it is. It is.
Close fight.
For me, it's a tough one to swallow a little bit. I guess for me also too, I don't have any skin in the game. So I'm kind of like, it just was one of those fights. I felt like Taiwan did enough damage on the feet. I know it wasn't a lot. It didn't seem like a lot, but the submission wasn't really all that close, but the elbows did hurt. There was effective striking from that position. The submission does look bad because you are looking for a finish. It's no different than like if you're in a, I don't know, a Kimura position, I guess, and the arm's bent a little bit or you don't have a grip, I guess, something along those lines. But yeah, he was doing his stuff. I mean, I don't know. We had a couple. There was a fight earlier though on the card too that we were like, what? There was another decision that we thought was a little weird.
Was it the Ras Hilton? And
No, that was a legit decision.
That was right.
That's the only other one.
There was that. Levenger was a finish, and then the third one was.
There was a submission after. There was a submission before Pico, and there was a TKO before Pico.
Yeah,
maybe we missed it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Anyways, yeah. I mean, look. I guess I understand where you're coming from. This is what you do, so I'm going to lean more towards what you're saying. But
the big thing is if you're Taiwan Clax, first off, he's got a great career in front of him, but he does need to learn from this situation in this fight, because if you take this loss, you can sit there and say, I got ripped off. You didn't. Okay. You created the situation and allowed it to happen. You're winning time, but you've got to start going for damage or the finish. You just got to think, man, I've got to make these judges believe that I am working towards finishing. And you saw when we saw Lemminger against Jake Smith, you saw the way he was going after the ground and pound. And I was saying, this is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
He is creating all of this damage based upon these ground and pound positions. He is working towards finishing the fight.
Yeah.
That's what's going to always go with the judges.
Yeah. I saw Taiwan after the fight, passing in the hall. And I said, hey, if it makes you feel any better, I had you winning the fight. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm not going to dwell on it. He's like, but I got to finish fights, man. And when they say that, he understands.
Perfect.
He's like, this is the fight game. And he's like, I got to finish fights. I was like,
he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he is.
Super smart.
It just sucks because I felt like this is probably one of the best I'd seen him look.
I thought he looked actually really good.
Yeah.
But he got caught twice in situations in the first round, if you recall.
Yep.
He got taken down and he was mounted and he took some big shots when he was down there.
Yeah.
All right. And so he's got to look for those things. And then that last round, when he's a little bit tired, man, sometimes this is those areas where you've got to say, man, I'm tired and I got to go.
Yeah.
And you got to just lay it out there, because if you're able to just jump up after the fight, then you didn't give everything that you had in there. And you got to do that, because that could be the difference in you getting that win or them going with the other guy.
True.
So
next fight.
Jason Jackson and Jordan Main.
Best fight of the night.
Told you it was going to be.
Best fight of the night. I don't think Jordan has something in. I don't think
Jordan's
Jordan
got nothing to feel bad about.
Yeah,
man.
nothing at all to feel bad about.
Great fight.
2 years off. A lot of things have changed in 2 years. Like I said on the broadcast, I said the calf kicks were pretty much non-existent 2 years ago. They've started exploding on the scene. Sure, people use them, but they don't use them to the extent of which they're using them now. We saw a lot of them tonight also on the UFC. It changed the dynamic of the fights tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And it's changing the dynamic of all the fights. Now, I also said on the broadcast, is that this is what's going to force fighters to learn how to fight left-handed and right-handed. They're going to have to learn how to switch stances to make sure that they're well-rounded. This is mixed martial arts. You got to be able to fight everywhere. And if you can't fight from both sides of your stance, you're going to be one of those fighters that's left behind.
Someone can take your base. If they can take your base away, you can't fight. Can't fight without a base, Josh. You know that. So if it's that they try to take that front leg away, well, then I got to switch my base into a different position. And if you're not able to do that with the basic, 50-50, being just as good to either side, then someone can force you into making you a weaker fighter. Yeah,
Jordan, I think he had to get back on the track as far as the speed of a fight, the conditioning that which you need to be in shape for, understanding that like you have to prepare your body to get back into that type of shape. Sure, maybe he's been sparring. Sure, maybe he's been training. but you're not taking the full brunt of the kicks and the punches because you're sparring with 16-ounce gloves. You're probably wearing elbow pads. You're probably wearing leg guards, shin guards, whatever it is, knee pads. So every time you get kicked or punched, there's padding on padding. It's not the same as when you're getting kicked with shin to shin. You know, I mean, you could see at the end of the second round, his dad was rubbing his elbow out. So I think he was blocking the kicks, and a couple of those kicks hit his elbow. You could tell that he was having a hard time flexing or making a fist with the right hand to throw it. There was a lot of things that I think I'm excited to see him fight again. One thing that concerned me is when I was thinking about it so much, pretty much after the fight, though I didn't really get to talk about it during the broadcast, is that they didn't make any adjustments. Now, that's either a coaching thing or maybe there was something between rounds that they talked about and he just couldn't get it done. I know that his dad had told him after the first round, go out there, I want to take down, shoot. But he did one shot, and then after that, there was nothing. Like we had talked about, the best way for him to win that fight is if he was getting outstruck in range, he needed to crush the distance, press him to the fence, make it a dirty, grimy fight. There was never a moment in there where he did that. Very rarely did he press him to the fence. Very rarely did he try to do knees and elbows. You know, like anything, like there was no, you can tell that he's still stuck in the 2 years ago MMA versus the now present MMA of body lock, foot sweeps, kicking the feet out, hooking the leg and sagging how Damian Maia does. I mean, that half guard game, like the Lovato Jr., like that kind of game, he hasn't evolved to that game. That's 2 years that you missed out on training to evolve and see what other guys are doing. And it showed. So I hope that he gets either, I don't want to say brings in new coaches, but I hope that he starts looking and seeing what these other guys are doing. It's hard to be coached by your dad. And it's so hard, man. I can't even imagine. I have friends that have been coached by their dads, and it's just, oof. But I mean, for boxing mainly, but it's hard. It's hard to watch sometimes. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I tip my hat to him for doing it and putting up with it. I mean, I know they have a great relationship, but it's got to be hard.
Oh, absolutely. But you really have to give credit where credit is due. And Jason Jackson looked great. Come on.
Absolutely.
His last two fights, when you talk about that takedown, Jordan got deep on that first takedown. I don't know, maybe it wasn't the first one, but he got deep on one of them. He was in on him. And you saw Jason Jackson sitting down, getting his hips back, working his hands to the underhook to force it off. Everything he was doing, his wrestling has gotten better. His takedown defense is damn good now. He is understanding how to control the distance, because you saw Jordan trying to cut him off throughout a lot of that fight. Never was really able to do it.
Yeah.
Jason always took that angle back. He always took that as Jordan would come and cut him down. He would take a step off, create that same angle that he had before, attack, move out. He really looked good. I talked to him after the fights and in the hotel, and he says, man, he goes, I listened to you before. He goes, I had listened to you.
Yeah.
I said, what did I say? He goes, you told me don't fight another man's fight. He goes, and I was going to stand and bang with him. I thought, don't fight another man's fight. Fight my fight. I said, well, that was the way to do it, man. You did great, because he really did look good. He's going to put himself right in position for a title shot somewhere like. He keeps fighting the way he is. You cannot deny the guy, man, because he is able to compete against anyone. He's fast. He's got power in his hands. He's got good movement. He's got it all right now. He's hitting his stride.
Yeah, I think he showed a lot in the Ed Ruth loss, which a lot of people thought he won that fight.
Yeah, I thought he won it.
Yeah, there's that fight right there. And then, what's the Japanese guy's name he fought? Kudamoto. He destroyed him, dismantled him on short notice fight. And then comes out tonight and just looked absolutely amazing. And let's not forget, you guys, this guy works 5 jobs, has kids, and he's like awesome. Worried about his kids and worried about work. And he's like, I never stop, man. I got to keep making money. I got to keep making money.
In the hot sun, I'm washing cars. I'm digging holes. Dude, I love that guy.
So, I mean, realistically, I would imagine he's somebody that we're looking to sign and keep on long term. I mean, he's impressive to watch. He's getting better every single fight. And I love just the fact that he's energetic, man. Like during our fighter meetings, he's so fun. He's so fun. He's just got so much to say. He's super positive, and he's like, man, I'm living it. I'm living this dream. I love this whole thing. I'm glad to see him, guys like him, have that, be able to have first off, he has the work ethic. There's no doubt about that. But just to be with the right team. He's with Henry Hooft. He's with all those guys over there. It's called Sanford Health now. Sanford MMA, so yeah, he's got a good group of guys there. Rockhold had released some video of the two of them sparring, and he was fucking walking Rockhold down, like just throwing bombs. They got in some big exchanges. Luke had hit him with a couple of good shots, and he just took it on the chin and just walked through him. I mean, this was pre-Luke, also like, when Luke was still active and fighting a lot more. I mean, this was impressive. And Luke's a lot bigger than him. Not a little bit, a lot bigger.
A lot.
And so to think what he can accomplish, knowing that he's dealing with guys like him, I'm excited to see what's next for him.
Exactly where he can go.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, and off the top of my head, who we have at 170 that would be really next for him. Him and Lima would be a fucking great fight. I don't know if he's ready for Lima right now. I don't think he is, but it would make for a very interesting fight. Daly. I think him and Paul Daly. Or who's the other kid, the one that is fighting next week? Hamasi.
Sabah
Hamasi.
Yeah,
that would be a great fight as well. So those two guys, I mean, I'd love to see either one of those guys fight. I know that Daly and Hamasi were supposed to fight on the March 13th card. They got canceled. They were the co-main, I think.
I mean, he's got a teammate, that he could fight too, but I don't think that'll happen. But, Logan Storley works out with him, and that's a matchup that somewhere along the way might happen with Storley being undefeated. But
I mean, let's play matchmaker a little bit for Bellator right now. I really like the Logan Storley, and I think you brought this up, was Neiman Gracie.
Yep.
Neiman Gracie and Logan Storley makes for a good fight.
I think that's a great matchup.
I'd like to see Ed Ruth and Logan Storley.
Yep.
That's another fight. I do know there was another fight that I wanted to talk about that I wanted to see was, Fitch is saying he's fighting again. What if we put Fitch against Neiman Gracie, or we put Fitch against Amosov, or we put Fitch, because Fitch had a draw with Roy McDonald in the tournament. Basically said, I'm retired now after all of this, because he believed he was the real champ. So he pretty much said he retired. And then he realized it's really expensive to live in the Bay Area. He's like, fuck it, he's going to go fight again. So, but him and Amosov would be a good fight. Him and Logan Storley would be a good fight. I'd like to see that fight also.
Fitch and Amosov.
Fitch and Amosov. Fitch and
you
Neiman.
Obviously don't like Fitch anymore.
No, I just like it. Look, if you just had a draw with Rory, we can't give you somebody that's not up there in that upper echelon. I mean, you got to go have him fight Ed Ruth. You got to have him fight. There was a chance they were going to fight in the tournament. Had he beat Rory, he would have ended up fighting him. I think.
I could see, if you're talking Fitch against Daly would be good.
They already fought.
Again, I know, but it would be good again because Daly says he wanted that fight back. So, but you're also talking about if Jason Jackson against Fitch would be good.
That'd be
be a good matchup.
Tough fight. I was thinking more in terms of like a Neiman Gracie, another guy who can wrestle, Ed Ruth, Logan Storley, those two guys, Amosov, guys that have stand up but a little bit of wrestling. The Neiman one really interests me because of the jiu-jitsu aspect of it all. And Fitch, I think he's only been submitted one time. That was by Berkman in
the WSOF.
The old World Series of Fighting. Yeah. So, anyways, good shit. I mean, that fight would those. We're playing matchmaker real quick, but those are fights I'd like to see. I like that too.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, who was the next fight?
The main event.
Come on, the main event. Sergio and Ben Deja.
That's right.
So what do you think happened? It went exactly like I said.
Yeah, I think that
the counter fighting of Sergio, his counters, and when his ability to control the distance of the fight. Ricky had to control it if he was going to do well, and he wasn't able to control that distance. It was actually Sergio controlling the distance. He was the one that was the initiator, and when Ricky would try to respond, here would come the counters, and he was getting hit by those counters. And that just, even though he fought well, look, Ricky Bandejas fought well. When he loses, except for Patchy Mix, he's not losing by much.
Yeah.
It's little tiny things that are the difference in the fight. So he's only got little things to work on to get that just over the hump.
Yeah. Here's the thing with him. for a guy who he's still really young and still doesn't have, you can tell that he needs to grow a lot in the MMA world, which I think he's going to grow a lot at ATT. He's got so much more to learn. He keeps his chin really high. He doesn't really slip punches. Like he's so green, but he's so game. At this fight though, Pettis was so calm and just walked him down slowly.
He got beat by a better technician.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the problem was. Pettis was the better technician, but then on top of it, there was not an adjustment done by Ben Deja after the second and third round. Like there was no adjustment. He just kept doing what he was doing and it wasn't working.
If you listen to his coach, listen to Mo Lawal. Mo Lawal was trying to get him to change. He was telling him, hey, I need you to change this up. And then he was going back out and he was being sucked back into that same fight. So, and that right there is part of, that's fight IQ. You have got to, when you're told something, you got to figure out a way to make that implementation happen.
Yep. Sometimes you're just not feeling it though. I've been yelled at a bunch of times. Like, hey, I felt like he should have, after he had such success with the easy, like it wasn't say it was easy, but he had got that takedown pretty easily against Pettis at the end of the first. I was like, if I'm getting the
should have gone right back.
Should have went right back to that. You don't need to control too much on the ground, but just try to hold him down, try to tick away some minutes, and maybe Pettis. Maybe Pettis will open something up, and you can get a good position, whatever it is. But it just he had big scoop, big body lock lift and slam and everything right to side control. I was like, oh, this is good. You're on track for something good. But yeah, he never went back to the well after that. He tried shooting from far away. There was never any setup. You got to punch to the clinch, get to the body lock, press him to the fence, knees, elbows, things like that to soften him up, get him thinking of something else. He just didn't do it. He has to make adjustments between rounds if you're going to stay relevant throughout the fight. And he didn't do that. He didn't make those adjustments. And I didn't hear Mo say that. I couldn't hear. I don't know. Maybe you heard better than I did. Maybe it's my cauliflower. But it was. I couldn't hear what the corners were saying every time we tuned into the corners. Yeah. So. But overall,
I had seen someone, just to make a comment here. Someone had said, the Bandejas and Pettis, that wouldn't even be a main card fight on the UFC. That would be in the prelims. I'm like, really? I can recall doing Sergio Pettis as the main event in the UFC. So people, stop.
Yeah, I think it's
quit being the douchebag for no reason.
Yeah.
Okay. They're good fights, just like the UFC has good fights.
Yeah. I mean, I got to say, though, this card, it had the potential to be really good. And there was the Jason Jackson and Jordan Meehan fight was the best fight on the card for sure, hands down. But I'm not trying to discredit the other guys that fought. Claxton and JJ Wilson was a great fight as well. Very technical. It was a very strategic and game plan style fight. And then also with the Pettis and Bandejas fight, just Bandejas couldn't make the adjustments. And once Ricky couldn't make the adjustments, you just saw Pettis just walking him down. Why put yourself out there and take a chance when you know that if you mess up, you can get knocked out? And you've seen Ricky do it. He did it with Gallagher. He did it with, what was his name? Not Kudamoto.
He did it with Ahmet.
Yeah, so he's done it with a couple other guys. And then, he's someone with Malambo. So he did it with Malambo. He was losing that fight as well and was able to pull it off, got the knockout. Like, he's got power in his hands, and we've seen it.
Yeah, he does. For 135 pounds, he's got some pop.
With title implications on the line for this fight, Pettis is like, why take the chance, man? I'm winning this fight. I'm walking him down. I'm touching him, throwing stuff at him. If I knock him out, cool. If I don't, I'm up on the cards. He's like, I'm doing everything I want to do. So there was no reason for him to really surge and try and, get the finish if he didn't need to. Would have been nice if he would have tried a little bit harder. But that's a fan point of view that I just spoke. But I understand what he did. He's right there in line for a title shot now.
He won every round. You can't ask any more of him.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, good card. I mean, like I thought it was a good card. Like I said, before we started this conversation, is that we could have came out with a better card. I think not a better card, a more stacked card. But I think honestly, there was only 7 fights. Three fights fell off. We're trying to get on track. I think the whole concern for this was how are we going to how are we going to regulate? How are we going to manage all of these fighters? Not just the fighters, but also the production team, the lighting, the Bellator team, like everybody for testing, masks, hotel, quarantines. There was so much that went into it.
I think what people need to realize is when you're saying, how are we going to manage this? Because Bellator as a company, it's not just managing it to their comfort zone or their standard. They had to do it always going to Viacom, Viacom CBS, who owns Bellator and is the one putting the fights on. They've got to get all that past them, and they had some high standards for some stuff. So, it wasn't like, the UFC had, that's a different platform. And as far as who owns them, really, they don't have any say. They just let them do what they're going to do with it. And that's great. But there was a lot for the Bellator staff to go through, and they did a great job going through it.
Yeah. I mean, they had to jump through a lot of hoops, and, but it's good. I think, like I said, we're going to be there every other week doing shows. Next week, Showtime Boxing will be on.
Showtime Boxing.
We will come the week after, and then Showtime Boxing will go the week after that. And we'll just keep doing that revolving door.
Next one, Benson Henderson against Chandler. What's going to happen? Talk to me. Quick. Give me a prediction.
Ben to start off fast. If Ben starts off fast, I think Ben wins. If Ben starts off fast, Ben wins. But we've said Ben needs to start off fast his whole damn career, and he's never done it.
Tell me about it, man. Tell him all the time.
And he always says, I'm working on it.
I know.
Never does.
Well, he's been working on it that long. Maybe it'll finally come through.
I don't think so. I'd like to see Ben win, but.
Okay. Chandler's got a lot riding on it. He's at the end of his contract. He's gonna go and shop around and see what he's worth everywhere and stuff. So he needs a win in this fight. That is going to make a big difference in his next contract.
Yeah.
Wherever it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, he's got to have a good performance, and I think Ben has ways of making people look bad. Making people, not perform to their ability. I think if Ben, and here's the other thing. When you put that much pressure on yourself, you have your contract negotiations coming up. You're on your last fight. What are you thinking about? Are you 1 foot out? Are you 1 foot in? What are you planning on staying? If you're planning on staying, there's not as much pressure. But if you're planning on going, if you're planning on really shop, there's a lot more pressure. So, and then now if you got Benson coming out there pushing the pace right away, that adrenaline dump is real. And we've seen Chandler have an adrenaline dump several times in a lot of his fights because he comes out so hard, so fast in the first round. And I think he's been almost his whole career been okay with losing the first round. But he's got to go ahead and push the pace to make Chandler exert all the energy to the point where he can go ahead and walk away at the second and third round. Because we saw in their first fight that Chandler came out really hard in the first round. And halfway through the second round, he started gassing. And then Ben started winning 3-4 and then... or started feeling like he was winning 3 and 4. I had him winning the fight. It was close, but I had Benson winning the fight. But it's because Chandler had slowed down so much from the first 2 rounds.
Well, Michael won the first part of that fight easy, and Benson won the last part.
Yeah, it was a good fight. It's sad that it's not going to be 5 rounds.
Yeah, it really is, because I'd love to see that as a 5-round fight. Yep. But now let's talk about tonight. UFC. What did you think?
I think you were
lots of fights on the main card.
It was huge. The prelims were ridiculous. There was like 14 or some ridiculous amount of fights. Can you pull up the card though? Who was the very first fight on the prelims? It was Wood and somebody else.
On the prelims?
Yes.
On the prelims you want to go to?
Yeah, I just want to say this real quick. I want to say
Castaneda.
It was Wood and Castaneda, and who was the next fight on there?
Emeev and Stolz.
Those 2 fights should have been on the main card. They were fucking really good. They were really good. I was very impressed with Wood. Castaneda was very good also. He just slowed down in the second round. But I got to just tell you, we don't need to talk about it. I'm just simply saying, like, those 2 fights and those guys that fought on those, they were amazing. I thought they were great fights. They fought great fights. They fought at a good pace, good technicians. And I love seeing the mix up of how they fought. Great job. The prelims I thought were, I guess for me, the prelims, I think on this card were better than the main card. I mean, don't get me wrong, the name value was on there, all those things, but I really enjoyed the first almost 3 or 4 fights. Who was the next 2 fights after that?
So you had Stolz, and then you had Kianzad versus Correa.
Uh-huh.
Betch Correa. And
That
then
was good.
You had
That was really
Boza.
good when Betch Correa decided to stop fighting.
Oh my
With the
gosh.
sound of the clapper.
Oh, shake my head.
That was a mistake.
Yeah. Here's my thing with her is I feel like she's slowed down a lot. Like her speed is not there. And she was getting touched a lot. She's got heavy, thick legs. Why doesn't she kick more? She kicked a couple times, and you saw the girl. What's her girl she fought? Stoles?
She fought Kianzad.
Yeah.
And what's her?
Pane Kianzad.
Okay, Kanza. Okay,
Yeah.
so she fought. She fought her. That girl was really good, by the way. But she started slowing down, taking bigger shots in the third round. Betch just keeps going back to the same thing, trying to go to the body, then come to the head. Tries to box, tries to throw the big overhand right. But she had slowed down so much that she's only able to throw one punch. And her opponent's throwing like 2s and 3s and touching her. Boom, boom, boom. I thought it was a really good fight, though. I was intrigued. The first round, the other girl definitely, I think, felt like dominated. In the second and third, the other girl ran away with it. So good fight. It was good back in, but they were a bloody mess at the end of it all. Before we get into all of this, I wanted to talk one thing.
Yeah.
There was 2 calls by Herb Dean. Let's just get this out of the way before we get into the card.
I did not see the first one.
The first one, it wasn't bad.
I didn't see the first one. I saw the second one with Trinaldo.
Yes.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Wasn't as bad as what Dan Hardy made it out to be. And this is why.
Okay.
Where did and what's his name again?
Who's the guy's name? The opponent.
Which fight are we talking about?
Trinaldo versus
Jai Herbert.
Like he was good.
Jai. Yeah. Oh, he's really good. Very talented. Good movement. Nice, smooth stand-up fighter. And he did well in the clinches and stuff. He was fighting really well.
Yep.
But Jai gets hit, and the shot that hits him goes off basically,
The
top of his forehead, top of his head, and you see him stumble back and
we call
fall
that
the way
getting
he
stoned.
did. Yep. It's like he got hit in the head with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And as the referee, it's one of those, it's an oddity knockdown. It's not your norm.
Yeah.
But when he falls, how did he fall? He fell going backwards.
Yep.
And was he still there?
No.
Doesn't look like it. But when Herb sees him, he comes around, he sees him fall down like this, and he sees him with his hands in a position that Herb is looking and saying he can defend himself. And Trinaldo stopped.
Yeah.
Now, Trinaldo stopped because he is a competitor, a sportsman, and felt like he's out.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to hit him again. But he has to continue on. So the fact that Trinaldo didn't immediately go after him makes it now where Herb really can't stop it in a way because he's saying he's in a way to defend himself.
Yeah.
Now, could he have stopped it? He could have, but there would have been people complaining about him stopping it. There would have been people saying, "Oh, you didn't give him the opportunity to to try to work his way out of it." So you're in that you can't win. The fact that Dan Hardy is friends with Jai and likes him and watches him fight in England, he got all upset because his guy took extra shots, and okay. But if Dan Hardy was the guy that got hit and went down and someone stopped it, he'd be standing up like Dominic Cruz. You stopped it too soon. You can't win.
I don't know. I think in this situation, just from my perspective, what I saw is that when Trinaldo ran up to him, that what's his name, Jai?
Yep.
His hands were already frozen in a position that made it look like defensive, but there was no movement. He didn't turn to look at Trinaldo to be like, oh, let's start moving in defense. There was no movement. His legs were still out. When you're defending yourself, you bring your knees almost up to your chest. You're trying to cover things. He didn't do any of that, and he didn't even turn to face. And when someone's running at you, you turn to like, oh shit, I got to cover myself. Yeah. He didn't move, and that's what I was waiting for.
I would have liked to have seen Herb stop it, but I understand why he didn't.
I get what you're
trying to give him that extra little bit. Okay, it would have been great if he did stop it. I would, if someone says, "Oh, this is where I said," someone's going to say, "Oh, you didn't give him the chance." It's like, shut up. Okay, he was hurt. And Herb could have stopped it. He didn't. And the reason he didn't is because he's saying, oh, I'm looking at it like you're in a position to possibly defend himself and he's not attacking you. I'm gonna wait this out. And you can watch and go back into many fights and you'll see Herb utilize that same mentality of officiating and technique of saying, I'm gonna let this play out more before I stop it. And that's his style of doing it, and he's done it for a long time.
I can get on board with that. But what I can't get on board with was when he fell back and he hit, you and I have talked about this. The look on a fighter's face and the eyes glazed over should be enough to say, okay, that's it. And that's kind of what I saw from the TV. I would imagine it would have been more clear for him to see it as the ref because he came from the right side.
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it is
not. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, I looked right at it when I was watching him fall and they showed the replay of it. He still had that glazed look. Herb went around the same way he was looking. Trinaldo came from the left side and he never turned to face Trinaldo and his eyes were still faced that way. That lets me know you're not in the fight. And then he took 3 more shots. There was one more shot, a clean shot, which is what he landed that first one, should have been enough for Herb to jump in. He took 2 more after that. I think that's more or less what Dan was complaining about. But like you said, though, look, it's no different than when it's your friend or someone you know. It's a lot harder to watch. It's like,
hell yes, it is.
So it really, that's what I think it came down to for Dan.
Yeah. I mean, in just looking at it, was it the best stoppage? No. Could it have been better? Sure. And that's what, you need to look at. And if you're Herb, you look and you go, all right, maybe I need to adjust my mechanics in this time as far as what I'm looking at. Is it the worst stoppage? No, not even close. So
it's up there though.
Damn, no, it's not. It's not even close.
No, it wasn't bad, but I understand why Dan was upset. But I also like the fact that I can get behind Herb giving the guys a chance to, hey, you're still in this fight. Because there have been times where guys have gotten hit and they wake up and they start moving around. So I understand that. But I was concerned. I was more concerned of the fact that he fell straight back, never tried to put his elbows down or his hands down. He just fell straight back to his back. His face was looking one direction with the glazed look over his face. Trinaldo came up from the other side and you could see someone out of the peripheral being there. He never turned to face him, nothing. That's the thing that scared me the most. See, I told you I'd make a good ref. I told you. This shit is easy. I got it down.
Got it.
I have
simple.
No desire. All right. That's all. I wanted to talk to you about that for sure.
No, it's, it's there. And for Dan to start yelling about it, it's not your place right now.
Yeah.
You're a commentator. If you like that guy, that's great. You can go talk to Herb about it later. Don't start screaming about it right there. You're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to do you any good. And you could, Paul Felder was actually doing the right thing, saying, "Hey, Dan."
Yeah.
And he's trying to pull him back. And he got emotional over something. Yeah. It's okay.
But I will say, we had this conversation the other day. Dan's a very good commentator.
He is. I told you.
Yeah. This is what I haven't heard him commentate in a long time. And he's gotten, I feel like he's gotten way better since the last time I heard him. He's good. I really enjoyed listening to him tonight.
The only thing wrong with what he does is fair play. He brings in all the English slang words that cracks me up. No, it's not bad. He's an outstanding commentator. He really does a good job.
Yeah, I like him and Felder together. They kind of both they feed
off each other very well.
Very good job tonight for both those guys. I kind of missed Anik a little bit. I don't know who the other guy was.
Dude,
not that he was bad.
John Gooden, he's not bad. It's just there comes a point. I don't know how to say it. I've got Dan Hardy, who's got an English accent. I got John Gooden, who's got a very English accent, wearing his bow tie, which is very stylish. And it's like, it's not. I just don't. I don't know why you have a guy like John Anik sitting at home when he should be there doing that fight.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it.
Probably got to give these guys breaks, though. I mean, away from family and stuff like that.
You got to go back to family. Yeah. So
I mean, we're blessed enough to go every other week.
John Gooden, you did a great job.
No, I thought he did. I thought he did a wonderful job.
He did. He does a good job.
My thought process.
He works with Dan Hardy all the time.
And my thought process was the same as what you just said. You have Dan and you've got this guy, both with accents. And I was like, there was moments I'm like, which one's which? And who's saying what? And I was like, Dan, that sounded stupid. That's not Dan. What am I doing?
That's not Dan.
That's not Dan. No wonder it doesn't make sense. Oh, shit. But I actually thought tonight, their last couple shows, I mean, it was Bisping and Felder or Bisping and there was someone else, I think, in that mix. But anyways, I thought tonight Dan Hardy did a great job with Paul Felder. The two of them play off each other very well. They didn't step on each other's dicks at all, really, a whole lot. Like in some of the previous fights that they've had, they've been stepping on each other a little bit. But that has to do with the social distancing, like we found out. You're 6 feet away. Normally, when we're sitting next to each other, I tap you when I'm going to talk. So when you're done, I'm going to go next. And I tap you and say, hey, I'm next, you know? But when you're 6 feet away, I'm not looking at you. I'm watching the fight on the monitor. I'm watching the fight in the cage, and I don't see you because you're 6 feet away. So you don't know when we're going to talk. But I thought they did a wonderful job, though. Tip my hat to them. Good job, fellas. What other?
Carla Esparza against Rodriguez.
What'd you think?
That was actually, it's just the difference in styles. I thought that I actually gave the first round, I think, to Rodriguez. I had Rodriguez winning that. Even though Carla took her down, I thought Rodriguez from the bottom hit her with some big elbows.
Yeah, cut her.
And did damage to her. And it wasn't so much the cut. It was how hard the elbows were and how many. And what Carla was doing in response, she wasn't landing very many shots.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she got the takedown, but she got kind of beat up. So I gave Rodriguez the first round in that. And then I thought Carla came back and her ground game and her ground and pound became a lot better as far as she was landing more shots, more volume. Mm-hmm. Nothing that really hurt Rodriguez, but there was the volume along with it. And that was the difference in that fight. A lot of people look at Carla's eye and they go, how can someone that looks like that win the fight compared to someone that doesn't? And you look and you go, it happened in the first round. She lost that round.
Yeah. Dan Henderson and Bisping.
Yep.
So yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. Like, I thought Carla did. I thought she lost the first round. Also, I thought it was close. Okay. But I thought
it was close.
Yeah,
but she lost it.
I thought she lost the first round. And I thought she won the next two.
Yep.
So, it was close. I think the wrestling. She had some good scrambles in the wrestling too. She got the takedown when she got it. What's her name? Her opponent flipped her through, and when she flipped her through, she spun around.
Nice job of switching her hips over.
Yeah,
she coming out on top. Really nice.
She ran her hips around, kept the legs. Yep. I thought it was like, wow, that was impressive. Nice top position. She, her opponent threatened the submission a couple times, but she was able to wiggle back in and do some more damage. But what I liked what she said though afterwards is that she's like, look, she had some hard elbows from the bottom. Just hard. And then when Carla's giving you, or when anybody's giving their opponent some credit after the fight, that lets you know those affected them during the fight.
Oh, yes.
Majority of the time we'll be like, nah, that didn't hurt me. Nah, it was nothing really that bad.
I wasn't hurt.
Yeah. So that lets you know that shit hurt. It's like,
I'll tell you what, when they're introducing Carla Esparza,
mm-hmm.
and no disrespect, I love Carla. She's a great person, but she looks like she's going to her execution
every time.
Every time, and she's got that look like, this is it.
Yeah,
I'm done. They're ending it right here. And you just look and you go, why do you hate this that much? But then she goes out and fights, and she fights hard. So it's just something about her personality, man. It looks like this is the worst moment of her life before that fight started.
I would like to see, I agree with you. It's so funny. She just stands there, her hand, like just almost like
arms down, got this.
Yeah.
No.
It's almost like it's almost Musashi and Fedor kind of ish. Just like, why the fuck am I here? Like it's almost like they don't want to be there. I would love to see her fix her stand up just a little bit, have a little bit more confidence in it. I don't know, something. I think what she does is she kind of like circles and stays away a lot to the point where people overcommit to hit her, and that's how she gets her takedowns.
Yeah.
If she threw a little bit more, the takedowns would come a little easier because she's already in that pocket. I just would like to see her throw a little bit more.
I really think her stand-up has gotten so much better.
It has.
It's just that against someone like Rodriguez,
yeah,
I don't expect her to try to play that game. That's the whole thing. You play in another person's game.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with it. I think she has improved in leaps and bounds in her stand-up because before it was bad. And it's gotten where it's very serviceable. It gets her into good positions at times, and she's dynamite when it comes to the takedowns. You know, she explodes into people, and she definitely gets people off of their feet. So, but that was a good big win for her. I think was that 4 in a row now.
I think so.
Yeah,
4 in a row,
because
yeah.
she beat Cynthia Caballo, right?
Yep.
Well, and then
Caballo.
then she lost 2, and then she won 4 in a row after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's kind of working her way right back to that title shot.
Verdum and Gustafsson.
Oof.
Ooh.
Oof.
This is where you take a look and you go, see, big guy jujitsu. It is. It's big guy jujitsu. Like, it's done differently.
That moves like a lightweight, though.
Yeah. And was never, ever overcommitted. Got the position, knew he had the arm, and then just slowly works his leg into position to have the head to where Gustafsson's not going to be able to get his head free, and just turns him over. You see him, let me give you a hammer fist. Let me work that arm this way. Beautiful job by Fabricio, because he got hit with some big shots, you know, when he was going for the takedown.
Yeah.
A couple of those hammer fists and elbows, he got hit good.
Yeah, what happened with Gus, though, is what his mistake is when Fabricio was on the leg, he decided to try and jump over him to run away, and Fabricio just kept the leg and just chased up behind
Ran him down.
Yeah, ran him down. And when you do that, you need to. He was already on the sprawl position, and he went to stand up. And when he went to stand up, he went to run over him, like jump over him to get away. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, keep in the sprawl position. He's gonna let go of the leg when he starts to try to pull you into guard, and just back out, hands on the hips and back out. It was kind of one of those frustrating moments. Like, I'm like, I just knew it so early in the fight, being as dry as he was. I'm like, you ain't getting away. There ain't no way.
That was exactly. I was like, man, you are dry, and that is a bad person to be dry.
Verdum was almost a 3-1 underdog.
I know.
I was baffled by that, to be honest. I mean, like, you have a guy going up to heavyweight for the first time, not sure how he's going to carry the weight.
I think a lot of people were looking at, you know, the UFC knows that Verdum, that's the last fight on his contract, and he's another guy that has said, I'm going to go and see what my value is in other places. And they brought in Gustafsson as the heavyweight, and they were expecting him to win. They were expecting him to keep it on his feet and pick Fabricio apart on the feet and get a win, and just didn't happen.
Well, I got to tell you, I was expecting Fabricio to look like shit like he did his last fight.
He didn't look good in his last fight against Alexei.
No, he looked horrible.
He looked bad. He looked bad.
Where was that guy? I mean, this fight, he looked trimmed up. He looked ready to fight. The last fight, he looked like flabby. There was a ton of comments about, like, oh, just falling off the train, just doesn't care anymore, or whatever it is. But man, he looked good tonight. I know there wasn't a lot to the fight, but I mean, and once it hits the ground, he's just a different level of, I think, than any other heavyweight that's out there. If not just any other heavyweight, but almost any other MMA guy right now. I mean, who else is there right now that is still fighting MMA that has that type of grappling? Dorino, Gilbert Burns.
Well, there's some guys.
Well, Lovato's not fighting anymore.
Yeah.
Damian Maia's not fighting anymore.
Not fighting anymore?
I think he's retired. I thought he was retired.
Don't be so sure.
Okay, maybe he's not.
There's a couple out there that, you know what?
I'm not saying they're not good, but Fabricio level? Come on.
Well, as far as accolades with, ADCC and things like that, there's not a whole lot of guys that can be up there with those guys.
Who's who do I have now? The Chimaev guy.
Oh, Chimaev.
Chimaev. The Wolf. Quick work. He had quick work. Who do you get? McKee?
Reese McKee.
Yeah, Reese McKee from Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
Didn't
go well. It was quick.
I knew it wasn't going to. Man,
that was nasty.
Like, this is not gonna be a good fight for you, Reese. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'll give Reese McKee credit, man. He never stopped. He never quit trying. He was always trying to get out of positions. It just, he was in against an individual that's skill wise, technique wise, just better than him. And when you're in against a guy that's just better than you, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's Chimaev. This leads me back to what I said before. These guys are out there. See, now everyone is now seeing Chimaev fight, and they're going, "Wow, oh wow!" It's like, no, he was there before.
Yeah.
And you are the same people. Some of you are saying, "Oh, he could never fight." Good guys in the UFC. Really?
Yeah.
Yes, he can. And those same guys, there's other guys out there that are just like him. This is where MMA is a worldwide sport with sometimes incredible fighters that don't fight in the UFC that could compete with anybody. And he's proof of that just in his little Fight Island experience, because that's 2 fights in a row where he's made 2 guys look really bad. Now, as the level goes up of who he's competing against, it's going to, taper off. He's going to end up fighting someone that's going to be able to stop some of his takedowns or make him work harder. But right now, those 2 fights, that's a world beater.
Give me somebody at 2, or give me somebody at 170 he's going to have a hard time with.
Well, I mean, if you're going to say in a next fight or eventually, he's going to have.
Let's say next fight.
Figure out who you would put him against is the question.
Well, I mean, with 2 wins in 10 days and just utterly
nice.
just dismantling people. I mean, I would think you'd put him probably in that top 15 somebody. Give him a top 15 guy. Number 15, number 13, somewhere in there. I mean, Dave, who do you have there? At 170.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you got to remember his first fight was at 185. Destroyed that guy.
Yeah.
And then this fight was at 170. Destroyed this guy. I mean, we've got to be talking probably, I'd say, someone in the top 15.
So you want names?
Yes, Dave.
Yeah,
that's what I'd like. Maybe you should take your stupid mask off. Okay?
15 to 10. Who's the name?
No,
15 to
John,
10.
I want to point this out. Dave's got a fucking mask on.
Josh just traveled to the other side of the country. You never know what kind of.
He did travel and he got tested a couple of times.
Yeah, I got tested a couple of times and I had to wear a mask.
You're in the safest room.
Yeah. What a douchebag. Anyways,
number 15 at 170 is Antonio Carlos Jr. You got Marvin Vettori.
Vittori just came out yesterday.
Vittori is a 185 pounder. What are you talking about?
Oh,
not a welterweight.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong ranking.
Oh my
Jesus,
God.
man.
15 is Pettis. 14 is Neil Magny. 13 is Robbie Lawler. 12 is Vince Luck.
Lawler would be good. If you're gonna build
Neil Magny would be good.
Neil Magny would be good.
Neil Magny would be a good fight, because if you're looking at a guy, first off, Neil's got really good defensive wrestling. He's got an outstanding ground game, and he has got a pace that he can keep. So that would be, you put him against Neil Magny, that would be a great match.
Neil Magny is the guy that
I love Neil Magny.
You always look at him and you're like, yeah, you're going to lose. And then he fucking wins. You're like, how the hell did you beat that guy? He's just a guy that always wins, man. He's good. He's got the output, does all these things. He's good. I like watching him fight. When he first came out on the scene, I was like, yeah, he doesn't really do anything that's great. But then he wins. That's the thing, is he just keeps winning.
Tell me about it.
So yeah, no, I think that's a perfect opponent. If you're gonna try to build this this guy, what's his name? Chimaev.
Chimaev.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm horrible with names. Okay.
Is it Khamzat? Chimaev.
Khamzat, yeah. I think he trains with Gus, right?
He does. He trains with Gustafsson.
Yeah.
Really? Where do they train at? Oh, in Sweden, huh?
Sweden.
So there's a bunch of young, talented Swedish guys that are breaking onto the scene right now. And there's more out there that need to be signed. There's tons of them, actually. I was actually talking with a couple people that were from Sweden. They're like, you don't get it. We've got like a whole crew of guys now that have just been training nonstop because Gus had done so well and the UFC started going there. And they're like, okay, look, now we have a chance. We have a chance to get in, now if there's fights here. So that's good. I mean, hopefully we start tapping that talent as well. So that kind of sounded bad the way I said it. That sounded wonderful. Oh shit!
I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah, I know. What's the next one? Paul Craig, your boy, your Scottish boy.
Got that sub.
What a great interview. And I put them all the ring of him and you took the triangle, yeah. They was real tight and on the bottom.
You didn't catch it. What's that?
You didn't understand? Dude, Dave, translate for us.
It's hysterical, man.
I want to thank my family, my friends, my coaches, my gym, everyone that helped me train, the UFC. That's exactly what he said. I thought he looked good. Look, here's the issue I'm always going to have with him is that when you get to the top guys, being on bottom is not going to win you fights. Those guys are going to be so hard. Like, it's one thing to be, okay, I beat a top 5 guy. Okay, then you get to the top 3 guy, and maybe you'll beat him. Once you get to like 2 and 1, you're going to run out of luck eventually. Like, maybe you beat the top 3, then you have to fight the top 5 guy or whatever it is, and the number 5 guy beats you. It really, matchups dictate everything on who you're going to fight, on how you're going to, but he fights the same way every time. He relies on that triangle so much and his submission game so much. I get it, but you got to do it from the top position or start working it from the top position, because right now he's all bottom. Yeah. Not good for guys.
Not normally.
No.
Not. Yeah, but you got to figure he had it was a draw against Shogun, right? He had a draw with Shogun.
Yeah.
So that was a big fight for him. But I agree. He's got to change the way he goes about things, because especially in the 205-pound division, if you put Anthony Smith against him, and Anthony didn't come from a grappling background, but has now made himself. He's a good grappler now. Man, he will crush Paul if he gets in that position. Paul can try to bring his legs up and stuff. He's going to get crushed. So he's got to be careful with it.
What about Glover? You put someone like Glover against him.
Oh, my God. Come on.
He ain't going to take Glover down. And if he does take Glover down, Glover's got fucking drastically underestimated grappling. His jiu-jitsu is fucking so
dude, I will tell
good.
you right now, Glover is super heavy.
Yeah.
Dude, he is tight. When we talk about good grapplers and when you're rolling with them, it's guys that can take a space and they just take all that space away.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is tight, because tightness equals control, and you can't move and you can't get out. You go, oh, this sucks.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So that's my only concern with him, is that his stand-up is getting a tiny bit better, but it's not getting better every fight. Like tonight, we didn't see a whole lot of it. No. But he's got to start focusing on maybe potentially getting to the top position and controlling that top position, making people work to the point where they make a mistake to open up the submission. He's not doing that. He's reliant so much on that bottom game. It's no different than when you're having a conversation with someone who's like a white belt and a blue belt. That white belt, blue belt is great when you're competing against other white belt, blue belts, when you're working your bottom game. You develop your defense in the white belt, blue belt, purple belt, kind of, mainly white belt, blue belt. But when you go against brown belts and black belts, they're going to cut through your shit like fucking hot butter. It's not even going to be funny. And so that's going to be my concern with him, is when you get to, you said like guys like Anthony Smith, or I said Glover, you get to those upper echelon of guys, it's going to be hard. It's going to be, those guys are going to be so heavy and so big, and they're going to push so much pressure on you. Not a good look, man. It's going to always be hard to get to the title if you just have a bottom game. So, anyways, next fight.
Nogueira versus Shogun.
There we go. Oh, we missed one.
Well, you guys were jumping around so much.
Yeah, Cowboy.
No, well, I went with
Carla first.
Carla and stuff. So
Cowboy Oliveira.
Dude, he looked good. That freaking front kick to the belly, to the diaphragm, man. He was punching that thing in consistently. It was funny because I had someone call me when I was driving all the way back, and we were going over the fights, and he's asking me who I thought was going to win. And when he brought up that one, I said, I think Cowboy's going to win the fight. And he goes, really? He goes, he says, I don't know, the guy from Germany, Sabota. He goes, Sabota, he goes, he's got really good boxing and stuff like that. I go, dude, Cowboy's unorthodox.
Yeah.
And he's long, and he can freaking grapple, and he has got power in his hands, and he loves to shoot that damn uppercut. I said, I just see him just slowly picking Sabota apart. I'm not saying, I'm right, but I think it's boxing guy, kind of good hands, decent kicks against a guy that's just brings all kinds of different elements.
Yeah.
I think that's what won him the fight, all those different elements.
You know who he reminds me a little bit of is Tony Ferguson, the way he fights. Because he kind of does that lunging in, that hard push kick. And I got to tell you from experience with Tony, I was trying to block his push kick, and it was just, my forearm was swollen for like a week. I couldn't put my hands down.
You saw Sabota having problems with his arm, did the exact same thing off of that push kick to the stomach and stuff. He was trying to block it to swing it out.
Yep. Every time you do this, like if you're catching it late, it's getting up there too fast, and you're either that toe or that bottom of the foot or the shin mainly is hitting contact on the forearm over and over and over again. And you could see it was affecting him. He was having a hard time blocking it after a while because it's just too painful. And
he was just getting diminished in every round. It was more and more. You could just see that the shots, even the shots that he was blocking, were causing him problems.
Yep. And that was
a really good performance by Cowboy. He's good, man.
He's really good.
He's a tough son bitch.
Not only is that, but like he tonight, when you go back and you take a look at it, when he fought Yancey, but how do you say Yancey? Medeiros. When he fought Yancey, like they just threw down, guns blazing, right? This fight, he fought. Everything was like almost like a game plan. I'm going to use the push kick, throw the straight right, push kick.
You are so right in the fact he fought so much. In fact, his last two fights, he has fought so much smarter than what he used to do in the past, because he would get into gunfights. He would get into these, all of a sudden it was a brawl. Who's the tougher guy? He did that with Tim Means when, he fought, and they had that one, that turned into a no contest, and then they refought. Tim Means, he's called the Dirty Bird, and he's a mean dude. Tim Means is a tough fighter. Yeah. And in that second fight, Oliveira just took over in that thing. So Oliveira's good, man. He's got skills. He'll be fighting for a long time. There's always going to be guys that can beat him, I guess, if they can figure out how to control the range on him. But if you allow him to control that distance, he's got long limbs.
Yeah.
His legs are long, his arms are long, and he utilizes them well as far as keeping you at distance and then coming into you and exploding.
True. Yeah, and you could tell that he's got like I compare him to like someone like Swick. We were talking about Swick last week. They have like that, everything hurts when they touch you. Like they're bony, and it just
they're not only bony, that they're they got that solid build. Nothing on them moves.
Yeah.
You hit them and it's kind of like boom.
Yep.
So even when you're just moving with them, it's like they're like you're moving with a freaking piece of wood.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
Yep. It does.
Very true. What was the next one? Nogueira, right? Nogueira and
Shogun. A fight that took place 15 years ago. Think about that.
Yeah.
More than 15 years ago, they fought first in Pride.
In Pride.
Think about the fact that little Nog Rogero is 44 years old.
Jeez.
And fighting in the UFC. So this is my point. I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, you guys, you let old guys fight." that fight right there, because of the two people that matched up, I have no problem with the UFC putting that fight together. I have a problem if the UFC is putting a good young fighter against Nogueira now, because you're just trying to put a name on someone's record. But putting Shogun and Nogueira, I thought they fought a great fight, and I have no problem when you got two guys that, they're both past their prime. They're both not the fighters they were at one time. But based upon age, experience, and all the wars they match up well.
Yeah. And
they put on a great performance, and it was a fun fight to watch. And it was close. I mean, it was a close fight. There was moments, I thought I had it 29-28 for Shogun. I thought he did win the fight. But it was a good fight. And there was times when you look and you go, "Oh, frick, Nogueira can come back and win this thing."
Yeah, I thought if Nogueira would have done more in the third, he would have won the fight. He just didn't pull the trigger enough. That was it.
Nope.
I thought if he just pulled the trigger a little bit more, I thought he would have won the fight, but he didn't.
Yep, got a little tired.
Yeah.
And at 44, I don't blame him.
No, not at all. Would have liked to have seen him go out on a win.
Yeah.
But given that
It's
that
okay,
was his
though.
retirement fight, but
Especially against Shogun, they've had, it's every one of their fights has been good.
yeah,
That first fight they had was fantastic.
yes, it was.
It was a great fight, and this fight it was good. And so like I said, there's people that complain all the time about old guys fighting, and that was a co-main event on the UFC, and it was a good fight. And sometimes it's good when a promoter puts that kind of fight together, as long as it is those two old guys together, not a young fighter against the old fighter.
Yeah, like when you're talking a young fighter and old fighter, like I had a problem with the Yair Rodriguez and BJ Penn fight. Like
You had a problem.
I had a problem with that fight.
I had a fucking problem.
There was other fights that they've done also. I'm just like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, what's the point?
Oh man, I went. Very very seldom if I ever when you get an assignment as a referee, you don't usually know what fights you're doing. They ask you, hey, are you available to work this event? You tell them yes. You get your travel, you go to the event, and you'll find out what fights you're doing when you arrive at the venue the day or the night of the fights.
Yeah.
And they'll give you a sheet and it'll have your name and the fighter's name. And that's when you know what you're doing. And, very seldom, the one fight that I did not want to do, and it was Herb Dean, me, and Josh Rosenthal, was Gina Carano was going to fight Chris Cyborg. And we all went into that one not knowing who was going to get and I didn't want it. And Herb goes, I don't want it, right? And we open the sheets when we get them, and sure enough, Josh Rosenthal, Herb and I were high-fiving each other. Yes!
Why didn't you want it? Tell me why you didn't want it.
I felt like I knew what was going to happen. Well, and Gina had worked out at my gym, and I had told the California State Athletic Commission, hey, so she'd been at my gym working out a little bit and stuff, so just want you to know that. And they didn't put me on the fight, and it was good, but I knew she wasn't going to win that fight.
She had moments though in that first round.
She did
in that round.
She had little bits and moments and stuff, but I just felt like she's not going to win that fight. I was like, I don't want to be the one having to
stop it,
pull the trigger and stop it. So it was good that Josh did it. Well, another one that I had when I walked in there was I had gotten the assignment for working the fight where BJ fought Yair. And I walked in there and I looked, I said, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Because I knew going in, that's not a good fight for BJ. Speed wise and everything. I was like, man,
yep,
your chances in this fight are slim. And I know that, and it happened, when I go in the back with John, don't stop my fight. John, okay. Hey, the whole thing, right? And I know I've got to let him go a lot. And it's like, man, that sucks, because I knew what the UFC is doing. I actually went to Sean Shelby and I said, man, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And he goes, John, what do you expect of us? He goes, I got a guy that wants to fight. He makes a ton of money.
We just talked about this earlier on the show.
And exactly. And if I give him somebody that he can beat, he's going to come back at me saying, look, I won and I want more money. He goes, I've got to give him a real guy.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I understand. And I was like, I wish I didn't have to do this fight. But
okay. What do you think?
Main event?
Yep, let's go. Till and Whittaker.
Well, I give Till credit. I thought he actually controlled some of the fight better than I thought he would.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought that in the end, he would be the guy backing and moving in lateral directions more. And he was more stalking Whittaker through a lot of it. He was creating situations. I thought the elbow that landed that they got all excited about, I don't think it hurt Whittaker.
No.
I think he didn't see it and he was off balance with it and went down based upon getting hit by something he didn't see and the balance factor. I don't think he was really hurt by it, but it was a good shot. And I thought it won Till the round. And obviously the next round was won by Whittaker when he got his knockdown.
Yeah.
And I thought the score was right. I thought Whittaker won 3 rounds to 2, 48-47. It was a good competitive fight, but little tiny bits were the difference. And Till kept trying to land that left hand over and over and over and over and over again when he should have gone into just a little bit more of set that left hand up. Give me a little bit more with your jab coming out, going to a kick, bringing it, maybe a crossover, and then shoot that thing down, the middle when you're opening him up and making his guard move. Maybe it would have been more successful. But I had thought Whittaker was going to win. I actually thought, Till looked better than I thought he would.
Yeah, I think, how do I put this? I think he's going to go home. Till is going to go home and look at the fight and be like, fuck, I could have won that fight.
Oh, yes. No doubt about it.
Because there were so many times where Whittaker had left himself out of position after lunging with that overhand right or stepping in with a jab and leaning his head forward. And I'm like, all you got to do, and I know it's easier said than done, you guys. I'm simply saying, like, when you're a fighter and you go home and you watch the film, you're like, how did I not see this? Or why didn't I just do this? Why didn't I just try it? I mean, he never once, every time somebody throws that overhand right and they lean and leave themselves out of position, and he stands straight up after he does it, but he stands up with his hands down. If I was Till, I would have let him throw the overhand because he has really good footwork. He keeps his space in his footwork.
Boy, he's got good footwork.
He's got great footwork, and he steps back really well, and he's always in position to strike. But he was just comfortable with not getting hit versus countering off of that. He was okay with just moving out of the way and being like, okay, that's good, I didn't get hit. Well, you got to do something right back. Yeah. So had he thrown, I think, some head kicks or something right after that, it would have made Whittaker realize, like, hey, I can't just keep throwing this overhand right and leaving myself out of position. Like, I was thinking if he would have thrown that overhand right and Till would have taken a half step back and then throw a head kick right after that with the lead leg, I think there would have been some chances where he would have clipped him, not knocked him out, but would have left a lasting impression in the judge's eyes, like, hey, I landed some good shots, some dangerous shots that potentially could win me this round. And that's all it took, I think, because there was not a whole lot of solid, clean landing from either guy. So it all would have taken, it would have just taken one or two good, hard, clean shots that looked a little flashy. They would have won
Turns
either
that
round. Yep, takes the momentum and starts shifting it the other way. And
one of the things I think Till needs to do, Till is a southpaw, and he stays in that southpaw stance continuously. Mm-hmm. And there was so many times when Whittaker would make those mad rushes that he would be taking that rush, and all you needed to see was, instead of Till being in his southpaw stance, slide that right foot back and turn it over into a left hook as Whittaker was doing that lunge. Same as what, like you pointed out, I think Ricky Ben Deja did against Ahmet in his fight. It's an effective technique because it takes, and it's moving you back, but it's not taking away your energy by having you go backwards. It's actually setting up your hips so you can throw, and he's going to throw a left hook, which is going to have power because his left hand is good. Man, if he works on that type of footwork and change of his stance just in that situation, I think he makes himself a lot more dangerous fighter.
Yeah, I've seen Rockhold do that for years now. That's what he does very well, is he starts in that southpaw stance and he switches and goes to a right.
He goes into a right stance and throws a left hook.
Yeah. So he goes in there. So he goes and lands cleans. I've seen him drop people in training. I've seen it, and he sets it up off of that, throwing followed up with a head kick or a body kick. So he switches, boom, and then goes right into that kick. Till's got the type of power and the speed to get away with it. You know, Ricky did as well when he fought, what did you say, Ahmet? Yeah. So, like, I mean, that type of style of what you're doing, it's giving you the perception that you're moving backwards when you're really not. And you're really just changing the angle of the hook. And then, boom, you throw the hook, and right off that hook, you follow up with a body kick or a kick across the thighs or whatever it is. But you need to follow up with something. Don't be happy with just the hook.
Just don't be happy of evading.
Yes. Yep. So, and that's kind of where he was tonight. He was just happy he didn't get hit with nothing coming back. So he's got to work on countering off that. But I mean,
think you're absolutely the same thing as what you're saying. I think he's going to go and look at tape on that fight, and he's going to go, fuck.
I could have won that.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
Here's the thing with him. What is he, like 26?
27.
Jesus. He's so good.
And dude,
He's so good.
Well, it's not only, you got to figure that he was killing himself. And here's again the difference between killing yourself to try to be in that lower weight class. Obviously, he just fought the guy that was a world champ. and that close to winning that fight.
Yeah.
1 round. And look he had energy the whole time. He did great. This is the right weight class.
Yeah.
Don't kill yourself losing all that weight.
Yeah, but you get stuck with those guys that are in the tweeners. You know, you have it with George. You've got it with Nate. You've got it with Pettis. You've got it with, Gastelum. You've got it with these guys. They're tweeners. He's not one of them, but
No.
I'm simply saying, like, you should see those guys that are trying to make the weights either go up or go down, but they're too small to be in one or the other. They're either too big for one or they're too small for the other. That's a tweener. The other, with Gastelum, he's that guy, but the gorilla, he's not. So Till is definitely not that guy.
He's big.
Yeah, he's a big guy. So, and I think as he gets older, he's gonna get he's gonna fill out a little bit more. I can't believe he doesn't have the name the Babyface. He's got such a baby face. I know that was Barnett's old thing or whatever, but geez, man.
Babyface assassin.
Yeah, he has got a baby face though. He just has that little, like something you'd see like on a Pampers commercial.
He's got a little choir boy face.
Yeah,
it looks like he sings in the choir.
Yeah, soft spoken,
but it was a good fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight. There was one thing I want to talk to you about outside of the fights. What's your perception on the Venom deal over Reebok?
I love it.
Tell me why.
Well, first off, Venom is an actual MMA clothing company.
Yeah.
All right. Have they been part of the sport? They actually make clothing that's meant for the sport. Nothing against Reebok as far as, what they did, but it was CrossFit clothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
All right. Wasn't MMA clothing. At least Venom is an actual MMA clothing. It would be the same as, Tap Out. When Tap Out was around, would you have a problem with Tap Out? No, they're an actual MMA clothing company.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that Venom is, an actual MMA clothing company. As far as, the control factor and stuff, I still wish that fighters were able to put sponsors and things on, as long as it's, if you're going to put Condom Depot on your shorts, you're an idiot. Okay. Just telling you, you're asking your promoter to say, hey, no.
Yeah.
All right. When you're putting certain guys got to the point with some of their sponsors, you're looking, you go, you just killed it for everybody.
Yeah.
Way to go. So, but within reason, I would like to see them fighters be able to still make money through sponsors and be able to put certain sponsors on their fight shorts with UFC, but they're not going to do that.
So the reason why I like it is I actually don't like it. I actually love it. They make shin guards, they make gloves, they make hand wraps, they make knee pads, they make elbow pads,
clothing.
They make headgear, they make clothing, they make fight gear, they make everything that a fighter would need to go to the gym every single time and train. Like, people don't realize, I know everyone buys winnings now, or they buy, like the top-notch gloves that are out, but if you have a company like Venom that's making MMA gloves, they're making boxing gloves, they're making sparring gloves, they're making mitt gloves, bag gloves, they have all those things.
Venoms. Yeah.
So my point is like, those are all things that you're spending a ton of money on. Almost every 6 months, you have to buy new gear because either it fucking stinks or it's all beaten up. It's like I can't tell you how much money I've got. Probably about 15 pairs of winnings. Yeah. So multiply that.
And they're expensive.
They're about $380 to $450 depending on if you get the color combinations and all the other shit like I did. So all those things.
Color because it's cheaper.
Yeah, I didn't do that. Like, plus you got writing on there, you get engravings and all this other shit. You got the stitching and everything. But yeah, they're expensive. I love the fact that, and also I like their style of what they do. Their style of their shorts and stuff. I mean, I think Jose Aldo was one of the first guys to wear their stuff. Has the shorter cut, which is what you see a lot of fighters wearing now. Yeah. The shorter cut with the nice cut on the side all the way up the leg. They've got, they make MMA shorts as well, as far as like the grappling style shorts. They do everything that a fighter would need, they make. So that to me is perfect. The other thing I heard is that in the press release, and I think it was Dana that said, is that they want to give more money to the fighters. Now, I don't know if that's going to really happen, but it's a good soundbite. It's a good clickbait thing.
Great soundbite.
When I clicked on that, I'm like, anything that gives the fighters more money than $2,500 or $5,000 is just it's better. Whatever the format is, it's better. I mean, it's hopefully it's better because I hate to see. I can't remember who it was, but someone had fought. I want to say for the title, and they made like $5,000 because it was only like their 4th or 5th fight in the UFC. I don't remember who it was. It was just recently too. I was reading something. I can't remember who it was. Anyways, they didn't make much. They fought for the title. They were the opponent. They didn't make much. They made like $5,000 or 10, maybe 10. That's sad.
Yep.
You're fighting for the title. Like you should be getting a bump from Reebok for wearing that. The other thing that I didn't like Reebok for is that Reebok, it was the first company to kind of strip us of all of our, sponsors, but they never evolved. It was always the same shitty, ugly clothes. It was always the same. It was this
CrossFit clothes.
Yeah, but the design never changed.
No,
there was
horrible.
there was nothing. There wasn't like the only thing that changed was how fighters wanted it cut, and that was it. Like trimmed. I want it shorter here. I want it longer. That was all that changed. The design was still the same from the very first time. It was nothing's ever changed. I didn't like it. I actually like the championship ones the most. You know, they were all black with the gold. That
all
was
black
nice.
with gold.
It would look clean, look nice. But the rest of them it all looked garbage. Venom's got good styles, nice. I'm interested to see what their release will look like. Whatever it is they're gonna do, or if they're just gonna have like a plethora of things for them to choose from. Fighters go out there and fight as long as you're wearing Venom shit. But their stuff is nice. I like their stuff a lot. And I think it's going to be more beneficial for the fighters. And even if it doesn't give them more money, it will save them money on equipment for them to have to buy, whatever it is. So I think that's kind of cool. I like that idea. Good stuff. They don't make shoes.
It is good.
But
No, Reebok gets to stay with the shoes. They
do?
the shoes. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Reebok is staying with the supplying of the shoes.
Kind of a good play on Reebok's part, though.
Dude, they got some bad shoes.
Yeah, I know, but it's still a good play though on their part. Still a good play on their part though to stay in the business. I mean, they are in the shoe business mainly. Reebok is. So, was there something else?
Don't think so.
No, nothing. No drama. Is there any drama going on?
No, I was looking for stuff, but it was
No.
not really anything.
I'll tell you what some drama is. That fucking mask you're wearing.
Good. I don't want to catch. I'm not worried about COVID. I'm just worried about cooties and shit from you, man. Because you're fucking.
Hey, cool thing about HIV is you can only get it once, buddy.
I don't even want it once.
Don't ever worry about it.
Come over here. Unless you're Magic Johnson, you might get it twice. Goes away, you can come back. All right. Well, hey, you rest up. It's been fun. It's been real, but it hasn't been real fun.
I'm gonna go sleep.
You're gonna go sleep? I'm gonna go sleep too.
Oh yes, dude.
By the way, you guys, if you guys move to your microphone, please. Let's check out that shirt again. There's the shirt weighing in.
Bad boy.
They come in different colors also. We have the blue and the red, and they got the black. We also, I think, have it on green.
Gray and green, yeah.
Gray and green.
Green like yours.
Yeah, green like mine. It's also on there as well. And what was the other one? And then we have our other ones that are our traditional, our original logo is on there weighing in. Then we have the Karate Kid one. And is there another one?
Yeah, Home Improvement one.
Yeah.
The Home Improvement, the fence one. Yes, I like that one. To me, I like that one the most. No offense, but that was the funniest.
No offense.
No, I like no offense. That was
offense.
no pun intended. Good stuff though. You guys, prowrestlingtees.com/weighing in. That'll take you straight to our site. You can actually select there. Use the promo code birthday. You get 20% off.
It's only good until the 31st.
It's only good till the 31st.
Oh,
So let's go. Let's go. I hope you guys enjoy the show. I know we covered a lot today, but there was big fights last night. There was big fights tonight. And I'm excited for next week.
Big fights coming up in the future.
There's no fights next week.
There's Brunson versus...
Brunson versus Shabazian.
Yeah. They're not fight. There's no fights on Fight Island. They're at the Apex this week.
No,
That's
back
right.
at the Apex Center, and then let's see.
You guys have a card a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah. We'll talk about that card next week. All right. Well, hey guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit the comment section, hit the thumbs up on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, all the other things on there, and we appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you.